Hi, everybody. Welcome to Bookies. I'm Bear. Hey, did you ever think that maybe you just need to bust out of your quiet life and just go somewhere and kind of break the mold of who you've become or who you think you're going to become? Or have you ever had some kind of mental block or something like that, or something that was just plaguing you that you just needed to lay down and let go? Well, we're going to talk about those things today as we review Flights by Olga Tokarczuk. And yeah, that is the way you pronounce her name. But before we talk about Flights specifically, I want to invite you and welcome you to subscribe to the channel. As many of you know, when this channel gets monetized, we're going to take all that YouTube money and put it towards local libraries and literacy programs. So I think that's a great idea. So much negative in social media these days. It'd be nice to turn a little bit of it, one small corner of it, into a positive. So if you like that idea, please subscribe. Published on August 14, 2018, Flights is a very interesting novel, and I personally liked it very much. It interweaves the notion of travel with an exploration of the human body, and explores what it means to be a traveler, what it means to be a body in motion. Tokarczuk is Polish, and she described a event from her life that had meaning to her. She noted that the borders of Poland itself had changed after World War II, and close to her house in a forest is an old guard post that guarded the border. And it was completely abandoned because the border lines had changed. But she said she liked to walk into that forest by herself and just walk across the border that used to be and walk back. She said it gave her a sense of freedom. So when you read this novel, don't think of it just as a travel novel. What does it mean to be a traveler? You also have to think about it as, what does it mean within your mind when your mind takes flight? But before you buy this novel, I do want to make you aware of one thing. The novel itself is composed of several vignettes. In other words, there's no linear storyline. There's no plot that takes you from point A to point B with a conclusion. You're not going to find this in Flights. Rather, each story that the author includes kind of discusses an aspect of travel, whether in the mind or overtly traveling over land. And so keep this in mind. But here's the weird thing. Interspersed amongst all those vignettes about travel are significant discussions of preservation of the human body, which is entirely, well, frankly, it's kind of weird. Here's a story about the female narrator going to different places and learning things and experiencing freedom through those flights. And then you get stuff from the 17th century about how a doctor is trying to find the best way to preserve human organs so that they can be studied, so that they retain their plasticity. It's very weird. So what do we make of it? Well, here's what I made of it. Travel is exploration, it's movement. Whereas the body is self-contained, it's stasis, it's control, it's the polar opposite of movement. Now, just because I explained, I think in a rational way, what the author is trying to do with all that stuff about preservation of the human body, it doesn't necessarily mean it's good. I thought it was actually somewhat of a distraction. I think I understand the point made, but for me, it just kind of didn't work. But the material about travel did work. Here's a quote. "My energy derives from movement, from the shuddering of buses, the rumble of planes, trains, and ferries rocking. Whenever I manage to save money, I'd be on my way again." And here, energy, it's movement, it's going places, it's freedom, it's experiencing life. It's more than going to a destination. It's experiencing life through that destination and the journey. These somewhat different stories about travel really force you to interact with it. What does it mean to you? That's the most important thing. And so for me, the biggest benefit was thinking about the novel after I had read it. And frankly, that's one of the huge benefits and why I love doing book reviews, because I really, I don't just read the novel and move on to the next novel. I read the novel. Yeah, I start another novel, but I'm thinking about the novel I had already read. What does it mean? And in this context, it really um, forced me to interact with it. Here's what I mean. I am kind of a romantic and I have these flights of fancy. And so this video began with a quote from Thunder Road, Bruce Springsteen's song. It's my favorite song. And in my flights of fancy, I envision just what is depicted in that song. Come off the porch, get in the car, we'll just hit the road, and those two lanes will take us anywhere. It's a sense of escape and freedom by escape. Now, for me, it's a little bit different kind of an escape, and that's what I enjoyed about the novel, because I had to think through this. Um, when you've been married a long time and you have 7 kids, there's a lot of obligations. And for me, it was career. My wife's harder job, staying home and raising all those babies. And for me, it wasn't an escape to go somewhere. It was an escape. The song caused me to think of an escape, which was more a recapture of what had been, what I had thought had been lost. But in reflecting on that personally, I wouldn't change a single thing for some fanciful escape to what might be considered a freedom, because the blessing is what I already had. And I would choose what we already had over any travel or escape. And so, as I was thinking about this novel, I also thought of the author's statement that the home itself is like the best hotel, because the home has everything that brings you comfort, everything that brings you joy and tranquility is in your home. You've made it that way. And for me personally, our home wasn't constructed by a builder. To me, our home was constructed by the love I have with my wife and what we shared with our children. We built those walls together, and that's the home I live in. And even though all the kids are gone and the echoes of their laughter have escaped out the windows, I still hear it. So as you read this novel, kind of join me in thinking about what it means to you. What does it mean to travel, to go? But what does it also mean to return? Here's another thing I really enjoyed. Tokarczuk gives us this sense of modern travel where you get on an airplane and you depart and you skip over vast tracts of land or ocean and you don't experience any of it. What does that mean in the modern sense? It means you can go everywhere, but kind of also at the same time, you're kind of nowhere. We're traveling from place to place, but we're never traveling through. In Flights, Tokarczuk gives us the 3 standard travel questions that travelers will ask one another. Where are you from? Where are you coming from? Where are you going to? And in the novel, these seem like very basic questions that anybody can answer. And yeah, on a surface level, that is certainly the case. But when I view it, it's a lot more complex. Where are you from? What makes you you? Where did you just come from? That kind of brings the question of why did you go there? What part of you, what part in your soul draws you to that place? And what part of your soul draws you to the next place, to answer the third question? Where are you going to and why? I actually think these questions are a lot more complex if you put them on a personal level, rather than just the superficial conversation that you might have with somebody at a train station. But in total, and I've mentioned this before, what I really loved about the novel is it forced me to engage with it. And that's the best thing about art and literature in particular, is you get to paint the pictures. And here, it's not just your mind painting the pictures of what the author is given a half description of. It's actually asking you questions that you can ask yourself. And in those quiet moments, if you just sit there, turn off all the music, turn off the TV, and just sit there and think about this novel, I think maybe, just maybe, you'll have an internal dialogue with yourself, kind of like what I did, you know? Took me to Bruce Springsteen. Where does it take you? Even though I really enjoyed the novel because I kind of enjoyed being in my head and having that inner dialogue, I do have to warn you, please be warned, this novel's not for everyone. It doesn't have a defined plot, it has a theme, and the theme is demonstrated by different stories. And so that can create a little bit of confusion. Where am I? Why are we talking about preserving a human organ? You know, it's kind of pinch-on like. And if you don't enjoy that kind of thing, skip this novel and go read one of the other novels that I recommended. But if you really like the dialogue, if you can take the time to think about what the author is trying to tell you through this novel, not necessarily so much be caught up in the particular stories and the characters, but exactly what does Olga Tokarczuk ask of you when you read this novel? If you enjoy that kind of thing, you're going to love the novel, and I would recommend it to you. All that being said, I give this novel 3.75 stars out of 5. And once again, it's because it is somewhat of a difficult read and it's not for everyone. And I know if I put down a 4.5 stars review on this, that people are going to think it's going to read like Harry Potter or something like that. And it doesn't, and it won't. It won't. Right about now, you're going to see a little circle of my more handsome self when I was 27 years old and a naval officer. And if you click on that, you can subscribe. And I really hope you do. And thank you to everyone that engages with the material and gives comments or sends emails and encouragement. I really love that. So thank you. And with that, have a great day and God bless.